Oh my God. I need a refresher on HubSpot. If you got that hard,
Yes, sir.
Did you get the link?
Yes, sir.
All right, because I'm about to, should I hit start broadcast or you already on? Because I don't know if you don't show up until I hit start broadcast.
I hadn't signed on yet. I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
So I'm on. I think I hope this is the right link. It's asking me to joining as Jeffrey Adam Salter. Join.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hang up. I'll see you. All right, so let's see. Benjamin Cornell, you already live. Reply.
You might want to readjust your camera also. I don't know if people will be able to see you or not, but you're kind of.
Oh no. Okay. What about now? Am I center?
It's probably the angle of it. There you go. That's a little better.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me
see a big face.
Yeah. Not yet. Okay. No, we are live. We're live right now.
We're live. Yep. We're live. A minute to go so we get started.
All right, so we've got one person watching right now.
Do you know who's watching? Is it someone on the team, or is it?
It's probably somebody on the team. I think it's either Ian or Ben.
Okay. I need a logo behind me or something here.
Right, the Caring Senior Service poster. Well, it's 4 o'clock, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you out there that are watching live, this is I've got the pleasure of interviewing Jeff Salter, the CEO of Caring Senior Service. He started this company when he was roughly 21 years old, I believe, and he's built the company into a multi-million-dollar enterprise over the course of the last 25, 30 years. And so to all of you guys out there that are aspiring entrepreneurs, sit back and you're going to get some insight from the man himself, and we'll just go into the mind of a CEO. It's not every day that we get a chance to pick the brain of a CEO. And so this is you guys' opportunity. Jeff, I'd like for you to just introduce yourself and then tell us how you got into senior care.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, my name is Jeff Salter. I'm the founder and CEO of Caring Senior Service. Michael shared a number of dates and times there. I started Caring Senior Service when I was 20, just before my 21st birthday. And this year will be 28 years I'll be 28 years in doing senior care in this industry. So I got started much different than a lot of other people in senior care. I started off as a individual working in a home health care company. I actually worked in an office setting, helping the office staff. I was officially a assistant secretary for that company. But part of my job was to help interview home health aides when they came in to apply. Oftentimes, home health aides would want private work, and I would share their names with clients that were seeking sitters at the time. And with that role, I found that clients would frequently call me back because the sitter that I would give the name to, for whatever reason, couldn't cover the shift. Maybe it was nighttime, they wanted to work days. Maybe they had children, couldn't fully meet the needs of the client. So they called me back and asked for another name. So I saw this happening over and over, and I really realized that the challenge that families are going through when they've decided to help their mom, dad, uncle, brother, or spouse deal with this. And I felt that I could really maybe help with that process. I was good at organizing people and felt that I could really help them in the overall care needs that they had. So I decided that I would start my own company. I would take the same list of names I was giving out for free and begin a service in which I would charge people for an hourly care and have employees that I screened and instructed on how to do that work. So it was kind of a bit of an unexpected experience for me. I was originally in school for computer science. I was going to do more computer programming is what I'd hoped to do. But once I got involved in this, I found it to be enjoyable from just a keep me active standpoint. And then after helping a few families out and the clients and recognizing what we do for caregivers as well, it was something I quickly fell in love with. And then that led me to kind of recognizing I could grow the business and allowed me to think a little bit bigger about what was out there. 1991 came around. This type of service, or 1991 is when we started, but this type of service was not really a service at the time. It wasn't an industry. A senior care industry was not really something people were thinking about. Home health was a service that people were familiar with, but it too was in its early stages, and things like assisted living were really not at all on the radar at that point. Even nursing homes were probably the primary place people would go if they were unable to be cared for at home. So this was a great alternative. I recognized that it had a lot of growth potential and wanted to really start thinking bigger and pursuing some of those options.
All right, great. So now that you've had 28 years of running your business behind you, what positive characteristics do you think helped you over the years? And then what negative characteristics, if any, that you recognize you needed to change about yourself in order to be successful?
Yeah, sure. Before we get too much further, I should have let everyone know I'm not in my office right now. I'm actually in Wilmington, North Carolina, helping this office go through a transition. I'm here helping hire some new staff, and it's an interesting question because I'm having to really get back into doing a few things that I haven't done for a number of years. As we've grown and my role has changed, I'm not actively managing schedules and working with caregivers and the teams directly, especially I haven't had the chance to work with clients directly. But in the last 5 weeks, I've been exclusively working in the Wilmington office here in my surroundings in a simple office here in the Wilmington, North Carolina area. And it's given me a chance to really think about the things that made me successful, where I kind of came from, if you will, in this industry, and the characteristics that I needed to be able to channel when I was actively hiring caregivers, working with clients, dealing with family members as they're dealing with critical situations, at least in their lives. It's pretty critical, trying to find the right care for mom or dad. So some of the things that I really think that were helpful for me was kind of a get it done attitude. I always felt like I was someone who could get anything done that needed to be done. I didn't find any challenge that I said, there's no way I can do that. I knew I could learn how to figure something out and make it happen. So that definitely helped me in starting my own business, and especially in this industry. And then a general, I don't stop till a solution is found. So, I don't give up after one thing fails, try something else until I get to the right solution. And that was something I absolutely needed as I grew my business from one location to eventually 5 locations. And today with nearly 50 locations across the country, that type of a get it done attitude, and make sure that I don't stop till I find a solution. And then finally is so many people can be frozen by indecision, not knowing what to do, so they don't do anything. I've learned sometimes that you have to make a decision, and that decision might be the wrong decision, but it's better to move forward with the wrong decision, knowing that you can fix things if it goes wrong. But if you don't move forward at all and you're indecisive, then you find that you don't get where you hope to be. And that's something that maybe some people on this call, as they're thinking about maybe getting into senior care, that's one of the things they're dealing with right now, is because they are trying to make a decision. Is this the right business for them? Is this the right industry? Is being a business owner even something that they want? So that decision-making process is a challenge for a lot of people. And I think for me, that is one of the positive characteristics, but it's also a negative characteristic. It means that sometimes I make the wrong decision if I would have spent a little more time thinking about it and making the right choice, I would have had less to clean up after the fact. But I suffer, like I think a lot of people do, from procrastination syndrome. I tend to procrastinate much more than I need to. And I'm finding that right now procrastination has been really a difficult characteristic with things like scheduling, calling caregivers that you need to get on the job. If you wait too long, then they're going to have other plans. So getting in front of that and doing it more proactively is something that I'm having to remember really does hurt me if I don't do it. So I think procrastination, but a lot of people suffer from that. So at least I tell myself that, so I don't feel bad for that one. But definitely the number one thing that I do is procrastinate, and that gets me in trouble. But luckily, I've got a lot of good people at my national headquarters and teams that work with me that help me in that, and I make sure they know that I'm bad at that, and they kind of push me to improve on it.
All right, great. So I guess that means that there is still hope for you guys out there that procrastination is one of your negative characteristics. So I'm pretty sure that that's helpful. It is helpful to me anyway to know that a CEO of a company still suffers from procrastination. And that's a good segue into our next question. What advice would you give a person that's considering opening up their own business, but they have no business experience?
Well, that's a challenge. Everyone most people that are starting off, they maybe have had a chance to work with others as an employee or working even in management. So they have some experience as it relates to what a business operates like. But when you're going to open up your own, things are completely different. And what I would tell people is to talk to a lot of other business owners, people that are maybe owning small business, to learn what the challenges are for a small business. It's different if you work for a large corporation. A lot of the kinks are already worked out. You're filling a role that's already been defined, and that doesn't necessarily guide you to what the reality is when you start up a new business. Of course, opening a franchise means that a lot of those things are worked out. All the processes and procedures are shared with you. But owning your own business has its own share of challenges that you probably can't discover on your own because you don't know what you don't know. Well, you'll discover them on your own, but you just don't know until they actually happen. But if you talk to business owners and you talk to multiple ones, then you really learn more about those things and from their perspective, and you can be kind of aware of it and helps you ask questions, because maybe a business owner talks about that they didn't know how to balance how to read a balance sheet or how to do a profit and loss statement for their business. And those are things that we might balance our checkbook. We all know how much income we have, what bills we have to pay, and it's not too different when you're looking at a business, but it does require to think about things like cash flow versus sales and things of that nature. So talking to business owners is helpful, and then becoming willing to read a lot. So finding books about business ownership, reading about those the aspects of a business. I think you can find a lot of things because you don't know what you don't know, and reading will help you discover some of those things and help create a lot of questions. And at Caring, when we're talking to entrepreneurs, when they're looking at opening up their own franchise, we love those questions because it means that someone is doing research and they are trying to discover what they don't know. And then they ask us how that impacts them and if it's something they should be worried about and thinking of. And we're able to help them put it into an order in which they can learn about that when the right time is. Because you don't have to know everything. That's kind of back to that decision making and being indecisive and not making a decision. And some people don't do it because they haven't learned enough. Maybe they don't feel like they know what they need to know. And most of what you need to know, you'll discover when you need to, if you've got that can-do attitude and the idea of like, I'll find out how to do this when I need to. But reading and talking to the business owners would be really helpful as you're doing some of that early stage research. Okay.
What were your biggest challenges to opening up Caring Senior Service, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I think that for me, it was a little different than a lot of owners today. I didn't have. I was 20 when I started, so it means I didn't really have a lot to lose, and that's probably for a lot of our franchise owners that we've seen and helped develop businesses over the last 15 years. That's something for them that has been the toughest thing, because they've got a livelihood, they've got a job that's maybe paying them well. So knowing what to do is more important because they've got more to risk. I didn't necessarily have those things, but my challenges were because I didn't know anything. Also, I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know anything about cash flow. I didn't know anything about how to read a P&L statement. I still struggle when it comes time to tax time, and my accountant gives me all of my tax papers and it's got all kinds of information on there. Those things are really tough to know and understand. But I just didn't know enough about business management. I didn't have any experience on how to manage people. The right approach to take when you're dealing with someone that you're trying to get them to maybe act a different way on the job. Those sort of things are tough to do. But what I did is I asked other people on how they managed things. I asked other people I knew that owned business how they handled situations. I joined some peer groups also to help me gain knowledge from other owners, so I could tell them what I was dealing with, and they were able to share with me what problems they were having. So I think talking to people was what was really helpful for me. And the challenges are kind of all over the place as far as as a 20-year-old at least. So it's a little different for people today, but I had the advantage of starting from ground zero and building up from there.
Okay. The next question I was going to ask you, I think you kind of addressed it, was who would you contact when you had questions about the business or you needed help? And so you definitely said other business owners, but was there anybody else that you reached out to for help?
Yeah, that's something that I definitely I share with our franchise owners that join Caring, that the big advantage they have is they have a family to tap into, to ask questions about how to solve problems that are related to senior care. So for me, I didn't have that. I really was the type of person that didn't want to go asking my competitors how they did things. I didn't want to try to reveal anything about my business to them. I didn't want them to know what I was struggling with. I definitely wanted them to be able to see only the best of Caring. So that was tough when it came to things about the senior care industry. There really wasn't anywhere. Though I eventually became more involved in some of the national associations that are part of the senior care business, and that allowed me to then talk to owners of similar type businesses in other cities and states across the country. So I didn't feel like I was talking directly to a competitor locally. So that was pretty helpful. Again, and then peer groups that are just general businesses, I think was always good places to go for that.
Okay. How did you stay informed about the industry and about technology changes specific to senior care?
I think I keep jumping ahead and answering your questions with the answer before, Michael. One of the things that was important for me was being a member of the national associations. Also, we're as senior care, we're kind of fall into a few different categories. We're not quite skilled home care, but we deal with a lot of home care needs. And when I started, there wasn't a non-medical home care industry. It actually didn't start till almost 10 years after I'd been operating multiple locations, 5 locations in 5 cities. Then the industry actually created its own association, and I could be more involved with that. So that was pretty helpful to learn what was happening. Those early days, it was a matter of me figuring out what to do. But today, we've got a great industry in senior care. The National Home Care Association is a great place to go. But then there is 2 or 3 other organizations that deal with senior care. So I tend to be very involved with those organizations, making sure that we're at their national conventions and any regular calls that they have. They have some of the similar video calls like this, but they also do phone calls. I sit on the board for the Private Home Care Association, which is part of the Home Health and Hospice Association of America. So that allows me to be maybe on the front lines of what's happening in our industry from a research aspect, from a cost aspect, from a what's happening in our industry aspect. As far as technology goes, we tend to keep a lot of. We are today technology driven. We haven't had a well. We didn't have a lot of technology as people think of technology today. In the early days, it was a pretty straightforward way to operate the business. Basically, when it came to technology, we were using simple computer spreadsheets and some simple programs to track our caregivers. Today, things are completely different in senior care in general. So we've worked really hard with our own technology to create a process that first is focused on operating the business from a business ownership perspective, makes it real simple. I've been really pleased over the last 5 weeks in hands-on using our own technology, how easy it is to use that technology. I've been able to go out to clients' homes and use just using a tablet and my cell phone, be able to do complete client care consultations with individuals to discover how we are going to be able to help them. Keep track of all of my clients and my caregivers simply on a tablet computer. So that's something that's really incredible to be able to use and to see that our technology that we've developed at Caring is really useful to the way that we operate a business. But then other things that are out there, we try and keep an eye on of things that might be care related. So how a family might deal with care in their home and how they're going to be able to extend the time someone can stay at home and be as independent as possible, really avoid that institutionalization of care and have them going to a nursing home or some other type of facility. Even though we can often provide care in those places, the quality of life for the individual can be greatly changed when that happens. So there's a lot of interesting technologies out there. Spend a lot of time going to some of that's at our national conferences we attend. So there's people that have different ideas, but then there's just a lot of research I do online, looking for what's out there. The Consumer Electronics Show that happens every year in Las Vegas has actually got a really good area segment to it that's about senior care. So that's been interesting to see what's developed there. And but it's just a lot of research, spend time online. People send me articles about what's happening, so I try and really keep on top of it. And everything we look at, say, how can we incorporate that into what Caring's doing? How can we use that for our owners and our staff to be able to help them use it as they're delivering services to clients? Just recently, I've been working with a family that is early stages with an individual that has some memory issues, early stage Alzheimer's, and just what they can do to keep that person home as long as possible has been a driving force for his 2 daughters, and trying to make sure that happens in a way that they can feel comfortable. They're miles and miles away, just like a lot of our families are, and so they're really interested in things that they can do to help monitor what's going on with their father, giving him his independence and privacy, but still keeping some tabs on him so that he's still safe. With a disease like Alzheimer's, it can be really a challenge. Just don't know what the next day is going to look like sometimes. So there's some really good stuff that's out there to help maintain someone's lifestyle as long as possible and as independent as possible.
All right. So this webinar is really going to be viewed right now. It's being viewed by both people who are interested in senior care and maybe even a Caring franchise, but also people that are just interested in business ownership in general. What is the best piece of advice that you can give to a person that really wants to be an entrepreneur to help them achieve their dreams and their goals?
I guess for the best advice for being an entrepreneur would probably be really kind of going back to what we talked about, like what positive characteristics I had. to be an entrepreneur, you do got to have that get it done attitude, because you're responsible for the business. No one else is going to take that responsibility for your business. Or early on, at least. Later on, you'll be able to hire staff and pay people for the right amount of money. Anyone will do just about anything. But early on, starting off a new business, you've got to have people that you've got to be the type of individual who will just stay the hours and get it done. If it means staying until 8 o'clock at night to finish off a project, then you've got to stay. And other things like there's just the gut check to know, are you the type of person that's willing to give up that time? Are you willing to keep looking for a solution until it's found? That's a lot of the decision to become an entrepreneur is deciding, am I the type of person that will do that? There's lots of people who have great ideas, and there's an idea itself doesn't create a business. And there's a lot of people that have great ideas and give those off to someone else. Say, hey, here's an idea. You should run with this. Doesn't necessarily mean that they want to invest the time, the energy, the money that it takes to really create a business. So from a huge perspective, it's saying, do I have the right personality traits in which I can be an entrepreneur? And sometimes, though, people get confused with what an entrepreneur is and what a business owner is. And those two things aren't always the same. Just because I'm a business owner doesn't mean I have to be an entrepreneur. Sometimes an entrepreneur is, or more times than not, an entrepreneur is someone who has a new idea and wants to create a new industry or a new product that they want to bring to market. And that's something that is more true entrepreneurship. But there's a lot of people out there who want to own a business. They want to get the advantages that come with being a business owner, which is no longer have a boss telling you what to do, have the ability to kind of control your destiny. How much money you're going to make is based upon what efforts you put into the business, and then you reap all the rewards, not having to share that with someone else necessarily, or not have to be beholden to someone else. That's a business owner, and there's a lot of people out there, and that's why a lot of people look at franchising as an opportunity to get into business ownership. And you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur to be a business owner. I think those things sometimes are confused. There's a lot of great people who have been managers for other people who have all the things that they need to, but they're not looking to come up with a new idea. They don't want to start they don't have a new product, or they don't have a new business idea, but they do have the idea that they like to do something different. And they have an idea they want to be involved in a certain area because that's maybe a passion of theirs, or they get a lot of rewards for that. So that's why a lot of people turn to senior care, because it's something that they find that is very rewarding. It's again, I'm going to go back to what's been happening to me recently. I've shared this my entire career as I've talked to owners, but there's something about the care for another person that is extremely rewarding. To go out and sit down with a client who might be suffering from some memory issues, and know that the work that you're doing is helping them sustain their life, that they're able to really help them with what their wishes were when they were making those decisions, to know that your work is helping that each and every day. And then to know that the business that you've created, being a business owner, is allowing you to employ people that need jobs. And, for caring, it's fantastic. One client, you can employ 5 people with one client, and that's a really good feeling. But being a business owner in general is about employing people also, oftentimes, unless you're a professional accountant or a independent lawyer or something like that, where it's just you doing things. A lot of businesses is about creating jobs. And it's a great thing about this business is we create a lot of jobs, and you can feel really good about your kind of contribution in general to your area, your community. You're providing work and income to people that are going to be in your community. And that's kind of the whole cycle of business ownership and the cycle of the economy. So it's really cool to feel like being part of that. So you get to help people with their care needs, and then you get to help people with jobs and help your economy and all. So there's not a lot of businesses that are like that. If I was selling items in a retail store. I'm helping the economy because I'm getting people what they want, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm fulfilled at the end of the day. I haven't really changed someone's life at the end of the day. But in our business, it's much different than that.
All right, so we're about to wrap things up. I've got a three-part question to end these. And so one is, what's the coolest thing about being a CEO? And then why senior care? Why senior care right now? And why caring?
Okay. Coolest thing about being a CEO. That's a tough question. I'm one of the, not every entrepreneur that starts their own business continues on and then becomes the CEO of his company. It's not as common as most people think, because most entrepreneurs don't make really good CEOs. And I imagine even after 28 years, the jury is out on whether or not I'm a good CEO. But the cool thing about it is that and it's kind of a question that I've only known how to be a CEO for Caring Senior Service. I only know how to be a CEO for a senior care business. So for me, the coolest thing is that every step of my career has allowed me to continue to give back in some really unique ways. And today, I get to give back by helping other people start businesses. Being the CEO of a franchise company means I get to work with a team of people that are at national headquarters for us. We're developing processes and things that allow our owners to become more successful. And that allows us to help an individual achieve their kind of the dreams that they might have set out for themselves in starting their own business, saving for retirement, creating equity for their business, in their business, the ability to control their own day in and day out. So that's, for me, the coolest thing about being a CEO in this industry, and that's all I can really speak to. But as far as why someone would want to be in senior care, it's just a great business to be in. I feel like it's something it's a growing industry. The population of seniors in America continues to grow each and every day. The number of people that we can serve grows, and there's not a lot of businesses that you could tap into like that. You can imagine if you were maybe looking into the yogurt business a few years back and seemed like it was a hot thing, but that business is kind of nowhere to be found now. There's a few yogurt companies that are out there, but they're not growing like they were because it was a fad in a lot of ways. So people got excited about it, then they kind of trailed off. And for us with senior care, that's not going to happen. There's a long time to go until the last senior is served, if you will, and there's just going to be more behind that's going to happen. So that's a really good outlook from a business perspective, at least. And then senior care in general, as I talked on it earlier, it's super rewarding. The fact that you get to help an individual achieve what they want to do, which is stay home. You get to help families. Just tug at the heartstrings here for a minute. I mean, just today, I was at a client transitioning to a memory care unit. So they were independent living and they went to a memory care unit. And it was a tough moment for the family. They had to drop off their loved one at the memory care unit. I had to leave out there with them and kind of be with them while they were emotionally distraught about what had just happened in that scenario. And it's a really tough thing that families go through. And it was tough emotionally. I got emotional with the family as well. So, you just don't get that with other businesses. You don't get to feel that way. It's not that that's a good scenario by any stretch, but I feel like it's great that we get to be there and help in that moment. I know that I can be there at that moment in time, and that's rewarding. That's something that you just don't get if you're doing anything else. And there's plenty of other stresses that come that I wouldn't say are rewarding, but those things make up for any of the other stresses I have. So that's why I would say senior care. I think there's a lot of positives for it. And why Caring Senior Service? Well, it's just that we were born as a company based upon serving seniors. We learned how to do that. We put into place processes that make the job as seamless as possible, because there's a lot of things that are tough about senior care. But For nearly 12 years, I worked on creating systems in place that were about running a senior care business. All of our competitors in the industry, they launched. Many of them launched years after we were in business, but they launched after one location, maybe two locations, and they hadn't worked out all the kinks, and they started expanding and growing their business, and they've had to play a lot of catch up to that. So I think that for us, caring is about developing systems that allow the franchise owner, the person that wants to invest their capital into our business, allows them to operate a business efficiently, which efficiently usually means with some ease, but it also can mean economically efficient. So we can save money because you don't have to hire a lot of staff. And we do that because we have a lot of things in place, because we've discovered over time and learned over time how to be just really efficient at stuff from our hiring practices. I'm extremely excited that since I've been here in Wilmington and implementing our system with our technology, I have not had I've hired about 7 to 8 caregivers since I've been here. I've onboarded the client care consultations with 4 clients. I've hired 3 staff members, and during that entire time, we've never had to print out a piece of paper that someone had to sign. So that's really pretty cool, the fact that we're completely digital as a company. Behind me, you see some file cabinets. And if I open up that bottom drawer, you see a legacy of file cabinets that are really, really full of paper. And I don't know what's in them. Don't really want to have to go through that paper to sort through. And as a business owner, that was one of the things I hated for all of my career, was paper everywhere. Today, we've created a system where paper doesn't have to exist anymore. And that's because we have tablets in every single client's home. And I've been deploying our tablet system throughout our office here. It didn't have any, they didn't have tablets. So I brought tablets in, deployed them across to all of our clients, taught all of our caregivers how to use it, clocking in, clocking out, record their progress notes. Today I did billing. I was able to send out all the progress notes and the electronic visit notes, and the invoices to our insurance billers and to clients. And I did it all without touching a piece of paper. So it was really, really cool. So that's not entirely why caring, but this speaks to what we do as a company to try and make the process so easy. Working a lot of hours here, invoiced and completed all that within a couple hours time, which it means it's efficient. I don't have to worry about, it's a non-headache item. And business owners will tell you that creating their invoices and collecting payments can take a lot of time. But here at Caring, we've developed systems that make that super simple and super easy. But it's our support. I've also, with our newly launched recruitment center and our ongoing client intake center, means that I've got a team of people that are supporting me here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've got like 5 other people that work in another location that are answering the phone for me when a new client calls and sharing about those clients. So the client intakes that I've done, I just got an email that said, hey, here's a client to go take care of. And I went out and consulted with that client, did a client care consultation, talked about how we can help them specifically. And it was great because my team back at our support center were able to fully talk to that client for the first time, share with them how Caring can help, and then I got to kind of take it from there. And then on the recruitment side, it's been fantastic. My people are doing a lot of the pre-screening of my applicants. I don't have to worry about placing an ad. They've placed an ad for me. They've kind of taken away a huge headache in the old days of managing my business. But that's just what Caring does. We look for areas where there's no value, because there's no value in me filing papers. There's no value in me placing an ad. At least I got better things to do with my time than place an ad, make sure it's all worded right. And then answering the phone for people calling in and screening them takes a lot of time. But I got this team of people that do that for me. So it allows me to focus on those value items. Like, I'd rather spend an hour working with a client. I've had a great time being able to go out and visit my current clients and spend time to learn more about them, work with my staff and team members, talk about how we can create planning for our clients long term. So Caring brings those kind of efficiencies to the business model. We really work hard to make sure that our owners, and today I'm acting strictly as an owner. In the last 5 weeks, I've been working here as an owner. It's been able to focus on the things that matter, where I can add real value to the business. Because my value is not in filing papers, making sure signatures are on a piece of paper, answering the phone in just to deal with simple questions if I've got a team of people. So Caring has really worked hard to streamline in those areas, Michael, and that's something that anyone that's considering ownership should think about and ask those kind of questions, like is that a benefit? Is that something that could really help them? And I think that we have really been pushing to bring more efficiency every single step of the way, and every version of Caring that we've developed over the years. And it's really exciting to see that kind of play out in today where we're at. So that's why Caring. Hopefully that's does that answer all the questions you had for me today? Do you have more?
Yeah, but I think I got one more, just because I think we need some clarification, because you stated a couple of times that you're in Wilmington, North Carolina. Why are you in Wilmington? What are you learning in Wilmington? What are you doing? I mean, you're the CEO of Caring Senior Service. Our national headquarters is in San Antonio.
What's going on with it?
You've been in Wilmington for like the last 3 weeks. Like, tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we had an office. We had a franchise owner here in Wilmington that decided not to renew his franchise agreement, and we decided that we were going to come in and start managing the office. We had other people planned on coming down here, but in the end, I said, you know what? I think this is an opportunity for me to directly work in an office. I hadn't done it in probably 10 years directly. I thought it was a good opportunity for me to come and eat my own cooking, if you will, because I spend a lot of my time in San Antonio and national headquarters developing a lot of products, systems, coming up with ideas. And I really wanted to get a sense for, do those things work the way I think they do? And so I decided to embed myself in the office, go through the process of hiring staff, go through the process of really rehabbing this office. The former owner, previous owner that was here, had not decided to use the tablets that we have, had not decided to use a lot of those processes. And that's something owners can do. We don't advise it, but it's something they can do. And I wanted to see, do these things work? Can an office run the exact way we say it? Because one of the things when you're CEO, people think you sit up in an ivory tower and just tell orders to other folks about what to do. That's not where I came from. I started off as a founder of the business. I grew it from nothing to where we're at today with almost 50 locations in I think 24 to 25 states. So I definitely understand how it works, but I haven't been doing it for 10 years. So a lot of people sometimes say, yeah, Jeff, you don't know how it really works here in the world. I get you used to do this, but the world's changing. And yes, last time I managed an office, I couldn't pick up my smartphone and get a GPS directions. I was laughing because I found an old map book in this cabinet back here, the old days when you had to use a map and figure out where you were going. Today, that's not the way. So yeah, I ran an office a much different way, but I never forgot how an office was ran. I didn't forget what it's like to be on call. I didn't forget what it's like to be responsible. And so Michael, the reason I was here, I wanted to make sure that I got into it and I could tell people that I know what it's like to be an owner, regardless of my status as CEO and the growth of our company. I've been running it for the first 3 weeks. I was running this office completely on my own. I was proud to say that I was doing a lot of hours on my own with no staff. I've had to hire staff and get things going, but I did have the support of people in San Antonio with our recruitment center, with our intake center, and with people like yourself and your team, people like on Ian's team, and then on Eric's team, the support people, Rochelle and Zetra, who are at headquarters, Deborah, who works with me directly, Michelle, ordering supplies, just all of the folks there. I had a chance, Sandra was able to do an interview. So I could go through all the names of everyone at headquarters. And what's been great is they've been able to support me in this endeavor. And it feels like that first question you asked, like what was it early on? One of the first questions, what who do I turn to? Man, I've turned to headquarters and asked a ton of questions because I don't know how to do everything. Last time I did a background check on an employee was a number of years ago, so having to figure out how to get those things was a little bit of a learning process. But again, I'm here because I want to learn exactly what it's like to be an owner, and not learn, but really be able to have the credibility to my franchise owners. Maybe some of the people that are on this broadcast right now will know if when they become owners, they'll know that when I'm telling them something about a decision that they should make, it comes from a position of knowledge of having done it and not having just heard about it. So,
All right. Well, anything else you want to share before we sign off?
no, I think it's been great. I appreciate the time. I'm grateful for the people that are on the call, and as they look at the opportunity to maybe start their own business, encourage them that caring is the right business for them to choose. And if they have any questions and want further information, to just reach out to us. I don't have all the phone numbers with me for where they should contact, but I think the information's on our page there. So by all means, reach out, ask questions. I'm happy to get on a call with someone individually as they have questions, and our whole team there at HQ is an open book. So that's it for me for today.
All right. Thank you for your time, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.